I want to give you a little story here. I was at a Starbucks recently and I noticed every month there's new employees, new faces. And I never understood this until I sat down and did some pattern recognition. I realized that the morale of that particular Starbucks was relatively low. You would think Starbucks would have a wonderfully atmosphere, I guess that's the word. But I realized that it was the micromanagement of one of the managers. Looked like a nice old lady, looks like the guy that would put a pie out on her windowsill and feed the little children. But half the time she was walking around and whispering in people's ears, and you could tell by the look in the employees' faces that she didn't say anything nice. Now, I went back recently, and I could have sworn I was in a soup kitchen. Every time an employee was coming up from behind another with coffee, they would say, on your right, or on your left, or coming up behind you. And this went on over and over again. And every time they said it, people jumped who were waiting for their coffee. And my point is this, micromanagement is a big issue. I even went up to the cashier and just kind of whispered, and I said, will you be working here next month? And she looked over at the old woman. Like I said, nothing against the manager. I know she's doing her job, but the employee looked over like that and then went like this. In other words, there's kind of a theory here, and it's called pattern recognition. It means being able to isolate one variable and see other variables. Starbucks is not supposed to be known for that kitchen atmosphere where people are going on your left, on your right. I understand that in a kitchen, but in the middle of people waiting around for coffee, for food, screaming on your left or on your right, I could pretty much figure out what had happened. At one point, maybe an employee was walking behind another with a hot cup of coffee, and someone didn't think to get out of the way, so they probably spilt it on him. They probably got sued, and therefore they had to mitigate that with on your left, on your right, coming up behind you. Every time they said it, it was very loud, very awkward, and very annoying. My point is this: micromanagement doesn't work. When you are leading a team, you have to realize that a team dynamic rests upon not just the hands of a privileged few. Next time you're at a Starbucks and you see new faces, wonder why those people are leaving and try to figure out why. Try to figure out a behavioral strategy technique. Pattern recognition is the ability to see one variable and then see the outcome of it before it even happens. To understand what is going on in the mind of the employee, client, contractor, leader, whatever it may be. When you are in the midst of chaos, try not to overreact. Sometimes it's best not to try to mitigate those risks. Sometimes it's better to just let them slide by. I'm not saying let your employees not be accountable for their actions or efforts, but I am saying that employees know what they're doing if you train them the right way. And that would negate the need for an employee screaming on your left, on your right, behind you, making customers jump, scaring the crap out of people. And long story short, that's today's video. Thank you. Take care. This is Ryan Evan McClellan, behavioral strategist, signing out.